All right. Hello, everybody. Tyler James here, and I want to ask and answer this question today. The question is, does launching your comic book project on Kickstarter hurt your potential for sales in other channels? This is a question that I get a lot. It's one of the most often expressed questions that is expressed a lot of times by creators that are sort of holding themselves back from launching a Kickstarter project. And it's one of the questions that comes up a lot in the Ultimate Comic Book Kickstarter Plan Workshop, which is a free workshop that I've been giving for a while. I think now over 1,000 creators have attended one of my workshops and gone through and used the keys and the practices that I teach in this workshop to get some crowdfunding success for their creative projects. So if you'd like to attend a workshop, jump in, and we'd love to see you there. Just go over to comicslaunch.com/workshop to register for the next one. I think we have over 70 creators that are registered for the next live workshop. Love to have you there as well. But what I want to talk about on this video is this question of, does launching your comic book project on Kickstarter hurt your potential for sales in other channels? What do I mean by other channels? I mean the direct market. Like if you wanted your book to get picked up by a publisher and then released and sold in the direct market to comic shops everywhere, does launching on Kickstarter first, does that hurt your chances there? Will launching on Kickstarter hurt your sales on, let's say, conventions? Or will launching on Kickstarter hurt your sales on Amazon or on Comixology or even on your own online shop? Is that really gonna, if you've got sales that are going on your online shop and you launched a Kickstarter, will that, ruin your sales prospects? And especially if you're a creator that has been sitting on the fence about this stuff, I think you're going to enjoy what I have to share with you from my own experience and the experience of many of the creators that I work with. If you're unfamiliar with me, if you're watching this for the first time, my name is Tyler James. I'm the publisher of Comics Tribe. We do comics, graphic novels, children's books, and toys. And over the past several years, we've launched plenty of projects on Kickstarter. We've also launched plenty of projects elsewhere on the direct market, on Amazon, etc. And in fact, we have 2 books that we'll be releasing in comic shops worldwide this month. Sync number 9 is out tomorrow. Wailing Blade number 1 is out next Wednesday. But really, what I also am is I'm an educator by training and by heart. And so what I do is I help writers and artists learn how to crowdfund their projects and bring their dream projects to life. But oftentimes, the thing that I spend the most, the thing that I spend the most times doing is breaking down myths that are holding creators back and stopping them from making impact. And hey, what's up, William? I see William's got a question about Diamond. He says, why is Diamond allowed to choke the industry by holding a monopoly? And says, for many people, it's the fear that the Kickstarter becomes the end of sales. Okay, yeah, we'll talk a little bit about that for you as well, Jack. Welcome, Jack, and welcome, William. And I'll speak a little bit to that. Okay, but the question I get a lot inside my Comics Launch Workshop is, if I launch a Kickstarter, will it hurt my sales in other channels? And I know the conventional wisdom is that if creators, they go and they do a crowdfunding launch, maybe that launch is successful, maybe it brings in a bunch of sales that month, but then that will ruin their chances of selling beyond that. And the thinking is that, well, you launched on Kickstarter, you've sucked up all the demand, right? And now the book is out there. The people that got it, that wanted it, got it. And then there's nothing left for anyone else. And so retailers won't be able to sell it because the people that wanted it already got it. And you won't be able to sell it because the people that already wanted it got it. Now that's the conventional wisdom. What I have found in doing this now for, I've been making comics since I was, and selling comics since I was 14 years old, but I'm doing it seriously for the last decade and been using Kickstarter as a part of my overall strategy since 2012. And what I can tell you is that Kickstarter launch helps, and often dramatically helps, launching in other sales channels, or at least it does for independent creators and small publishers like Comics Tribe. Now, if Marvel and DC launched a brand new product on Kickstarter, would that affect their sales in the direct market? Probably make retailers a lot more angry than it would for for if you or I launched. But I don't know. But I don't know. But in most cases, it doesn't really matter what the biggest companies in the world are doing. It matters what works for creators like us. And so that's what I'm going to speak to. And some of the things that I've discovered, which, were surprises to me until I started looking at the reasons why and thinking about it, was that our online sales at our online shop usually go up between 20 and 30% during months that we have a Kickstarter going on. So yes, our sales on our own online shop outside, like not Kickstarter, but like if you go to, like, if we're talking about the Seas for Cthulhu brand, you go to seasforcthulhu.com. If you're talking about Comics Tribe, you go to shop.comicstribe.com. Our sales over there tend to boost up 20 to 30% when we have a Kickstarter launch going. But that's not all. I've looked at my Amazon sales and I always notice we get a bump, 30 to 40% some cases, over at Amazon during a Kickstarter launch. All right. And what I've also found is that direct market orders have gone up 20 to 50% or more in terms of our the orders that come in from retailers for books that we've launched on Kickstarter and funded and sold either a version or the same version that the direct market is going to get, books that we've launched on Kickstarter first. Our orders are going up for those books, not down. And in the case of Wailing Blade, which releases in comic shops May 29th and was out on Kickstarter in January, our orders for that compared to our previous high first orders were up 50%. And this is a book that we made available first on Kickstarter. All right. And there are a lot of reasons why this is the case. I'm not going to go into all of those reasons, but if you have an idea, like why would that happen? Like you're launching this on Kickstarter, but why would orders go up? Like you've probably heard a retailer or a creator say, well, I'm not launching this on Kickstarter because I don't want it to hurt my relationship with retailers. I don't want to hurt my sales with retailers, et cetera. So why are retailers ordering more, not less? If you have any ideas, let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear what's on your mind. I have my own theories. And, but the biggest one, I think, and the most simplest one is, when you launch a project on Kickstarter, it requires you to step up your game and to really get out there and do a big, big marketing push for this book. And as a result, you're building awareness for the book or the project or the thing is in such a way that it's going to just, yes, it'll bring some of your fans out and they go back to the Kickstarter, and it'll bring a lot of more people over to the Kickstarter page. But I got to tell you, I've launched 16 successful Kickstarter campaigns. A lot more people hit our page and don't buy than hit the page and do, right? But what do I know about anyone that has visited our Kickstarter page? I know that they're at least interested in this thing. And now, because they've visited the Kickstarter page, spend a little time, scrolled it, look at the covers, etc., not only are they interested, but they're aware of it. Here's the deal. If people are not aware of your thing, they will never buy it. People do not buy and spend money on things that they are not aware of, that they do not know exists. And so the awareness building that happens during a launch is unlike probably anything else that you do promotionally in your creative business. And that awareness building has a trickle-down effect in so many ways. And that effect spills over to sales on your online store, to sales on Amazon, and yes, to sales in the direct market. And so I want to encourage you to not let the fear of lost sales in other channels, and in most cases, the creators that are fearful of this don't already have a lot of sales in those channels anyway. So they're afraid of getting a result that they don't currently have right now. Or they're not even willing to test it to see, even if you are selling a little bit at conventions and selling a little bit on your online shop and selling a little bit in your online stores. I mean, if you are absolutely crushing it and you're rolling in the dough and it's working out for you perfectly, and you're 100% satisfied with the funds in your account and the resources that you have available and the audience size that you have, hey, don't listen to me. Keep doing what you're doing. But if you're not 100% satisfied, isn't it worth it to try something a little bit different? At least for me, it would be. And so don't let that fear of lost sales in other channels stop you from going out there, launching your Kickstarter campaign, because I found that contrary to what you hear a lot of people say, that fear is often unfounded. If you would like my help launching your next Kickstarter campaign, if you want some keys that I've identified, the 7 keys that I've identified to what separates success and failure for comic book creators especially, but also for writers, artists, publishers, etc., I'd love you to join me at my next Comics Launch workshop. You can get all the details over at comicslaunch.com/workshop. Sign up and come get your learn on, and so that you're able to get that project funded, energize and expand your fan base, and take your creative career to the next level. I would love to be your guide at getting this thing right. I did see a question pop up. Jack said, I think for many people, it's the fear that Kickstarter becomes the end of sales. Yeah, that happens for a lot of creators. And a lot of creators will get to the point where like they're not selling much anywhere. And then they figure out Kickstarter, right? And they figure out Kickstarter, and then it's awesome, right? But then their business becomes, it's got a spike, and then a spike of sales in 1 month, and then no sales any other month. I do have a program called Beyond Kickstarter, which I like to present to the creators that have gone through my Comics Launch course and have gotten results and have figured out and cracked the code on Kickstarter, and that's working for them. But then the reality is you need to have a plan to sell your books in the 92% of the year that most creators aren't launching a project on Kickstarter. And so the Beyond Kickstarter program can help you do that. And happy to shoot me a DM if you want more information on that, if you're ready for that. William says, Kickstarter versus IndieGoGo. My best advice is if you can use Kickstarter, use Kickstarter. All right. Kickstarter is the far bigger platform with far more traffic, far more trusted, far more credit cards on file. And the way I look at it is, if I was going to go to a comic book convention, I would rather go to the comic book convention that's going to get 4 to 5 times more traffic than the one that's going to be attended by 20% of the people there. Now, there are a few exceptions, and I know people that have had success on IndieGoGo swear by it, and there have been some great projects that have massive success on IndieGoGo. But for most of those projects, the reason for their success is not IndieGoGo. The reason for their success is they have an audience, or they've been tapped and promoted by someone that has a massive audience, and so they're pointing them over to IndieGoGo. But if you can use Kickstarter, my recommendation is Kickstarter. Jack says, I think it could still just be fears of the introverted creator that anything we do automatically closes a lot of doors. Yeah, and the funny thing is, those introverted creators, those doors are already closed for them. Right? They've already chosen to look at those doors as closed, or they haven't walked through them and they're out there, but they're just not walking through those doors anyway. So don't take that advice. Like, don't take that thing. Like, try it. Put on the experimenter hat. Try to see what happens, because I guarantee you, you learn every time you launch in a new channel. You learn every time you launch a new project. If you take that rope, but by sitting on the sidelines, or by coming up with excuses or reasons why not to do the thing, that is the biggest thing that's holding you back. And so, you might hear me say something, you might hear another creator share what's working for them, you might hear another creator, talk about a strategy that they've done or a project they're thinking about doing. And if your first reaction to that is, well, that won't work for me, that obviously won't work for me because, and you start filling in all the becauses, I want you to first notice that and understand that habit right there, that habit of that this won't work for me because, right there, that's what's holding you back. Because successful people do not think that way. Successful people look at what people that are having success are doing. They listen to people that have some of the success that they want. And when they say something, their first impulse is not to dismiss that or to come up with all the reasons why they're not good enough or they won't be able to apply that. They think, maybe that could work for me if. And then they fill in the blanks with that. Much better question, much better thing to think about than trying to come up with all the reasons to convince yourself why certain actions just won't work for you. All right. And so that's and find yourself. And I'll catch myself being like, oh, I can't buy that, or I can't do this, or I don't have time for that. Like, no, take a pause. Now, it may be the case that it's not right for you at this time, or it may be the case that that strategy is one path that would work, but there's another one better, and that's fine. But don't get out of the habit of dismissing things, especially new ideas, and especially when those ideas are coming from creators that have success that you would like to emulate, or that have something in or are doing something right, or something that you admire. All right, don't dismiss it. Think about how you can apply it to your own stuff. All right. Hey, thanks so much for tuning in live here. And thanks so much for just being a part of the Comics Launch community. I really do appreciate the chance to serve you and to chat with you and to see what you're all up to with your projects. Keep the comments going. Love to hear more from you and continue the conversation. And I can't wait to see what you launch next.